Just like that, Kirby. Just like that. We're trying to get the microphone set up here. You're a little bit ahead of me. You did ruin that Will Benson home run for me, but I'm going to let it slide just because I've been really nervous this whole game. So Willie Benson coming through in the clutch, giving us a couple runs that I thought we might get the last inning, but we didn't. So I'm glad to see we got it. Feeling a little bit better now. I'm assuming Diaz is still coming out there. We're not taking any chances.
Yeah, no, I don't get cute. Don't get cute. Man, what a swing. What a swing from Willie Benson.
Yeah. It's nice to finally hit the ball hard off the relievers. That's good.
And this guy's a pretty good reliever, too, for them. He had been pitching really well.
Do they really have any bad relievers?
They got like two, but they won't pitch in this series. Oh, Duarte's more. Oh, boy.
Do you think that has to do with the fact that Diaz came out and he got hit like a drum?
Well, that and, I mean, yeah, I mean, that and just, I think, how tired they probably think he is. I mean, which is probably, goes exactly with that.
Yeah. Folks, throw strikes, I feel good. We need to like the stream, though. Is that what you're going to say?
Well, yeah, like the stream. And then, as always, if you are just tuning in later after this game's long over, game notes right below, or the notes right below for this stream, we'll have a timestamp of when the game ends, and we do a normal type podcast type show. So you don't have to sit and watch us hopefully just the next 5 outs.
Ellie's lunging a lot, man.
All right, hold on. I had a note on this pitcher. Let me see if I can find it here.
Wilson?
Yeah. I know I had a pretty good note for him.
He's throwing a lot of pitches. Oh, Ellie. Let's play discipline at some point. I'm not saying it's got to be soon, but at some point it's got to be better.
Did the first batter get on in this inning? Yeah, hit by pitch.
Yeah.
All right, here was the stat on him. He had retired the leadoff hitter in 13 straight innings. So,
yeah.
No longer.
Man, TJ Friedel, man. Okay.
All right.
4-run lead. 4-run lead. Let's get this thing done.
I'm gonna pull this.
All right.
Well, hey, we got a DSC big fly.
Yeah, we did. We needed it.
I thought it was going to be Joey Votto's 341-foot flyout was our deep fly of the game.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, that wasn't the case. Thankfully. Boy, I tell you what, this game been a nerve-wracking game a little bit.
I feel like the Bally cameras have really failed us several times where I've been like, thinking it's like 340 feet.
I don't know. I just sometimes I wonder why they switch. They feel like they gotta try to be extra cute. Hell, that home run right there by Benson. They missed the pitch. They missed the swing.
Now, I do think, in fairness to Bally, I think they share cameras. So I think this is the Brewers' cameras, so they don't really have control over that.
Yeah, but I mean, if they have control of switching, then let's switch it a little sooner. Maybe not cut to the third base camera on a play at the plate next time too. All right, that's here nor there. Duarte, let's throw strikes, man. That's what we're doing here. Let's make these guys hit the ball. 6, 7, 8, 9. You ahead of me? No?
I'm 0-1. Here's the pitch. Am I still ahead?
No, you're probably a half of
close,
a second.
Close enough to party.
Close enough to party, yep. I think that's the case. We throw strikes, we're going to win this baseball game.
Yeah.
Come on. Attaboy. Am I being too harsh on Milwaukee by saying the crowd's not that great?
I mean there was a couple shots. They were
Tuesday night, man. What are we doing? I that's what I'm saying. I guess it's Tuesday night, but still, like,
this is your last series against the. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they don't take the Reds seriously.
Possibly. A lot of empty seats out there, man. Good pitch.
There we go.
Somebody take control. Thank you, Jonathan.
Daniel Duarte. Pretty big spot for a guy that just got demoted, got called back up.
Yeah. I don't think his demotion was due to, obviously,
it was just exhaustion for the bullpen, and he was the odd man out.
Correct. It had nothing to do with who he was. That's another out. Somebody's got to be on it. Catch the ball as a pitcher, man. I'm being serious. That pisses me off. Whoever made this rule in life that the pitcher can't catch a pop-up is just give me a break. Got Ellie. I mean, Ellie's faster than hell, but if that was a normal third baseman right there, that's trouble. You got the catcher trying to turn around, spin around. It's like Duarte's right there. He's literally right underneath the ball. Get myself in trouble. Strikes. Remember? That was the name of the game, Duarte. We don't need to throw hard. I love the Brewers' inadequate, incompetent fan base booing Duarte for throwing a pitch inside when he's up 4 runs. Boy, tell you what.
Better get that yawning under control. We got
I know, man.
We got 10 o'clock games this weekend, brother.
Yeah, I'm about to build up for this shit. It's called yawning is it's a sign of nervous energy for me. I've noticed
Okay.
that.
All right.
I've noticed that in my life. I used to yawn before basketball games and stuff. It's just a really weird thing.
There we go.
I'm not really nervous, though. I mean, I do feel pretty confident that we're going to get this done, but still, I mean, I'm never going to say never. You thought that was an out, though, didn't you, Nick? That fooled you. You thought that was a pop out. I know.
Well,
It
I
got
had
you.
another screen.
Yeah, it got you. It got you.
I had to. I got it.
It fooled you. Oh, man. All right, that's the only walk you get all night. That's it. From now on, we got to see how far they can hit the ball.
I just got a text. Why is Trace so angry tonight? It wasn't for my wife either.
No, that's okay. I'm not angry.
Trace.
We're winning 4-0.
Let's
I'm
go.
not naive.
We need to hype you up a little bit here.
I listen at this third. I'm waiting for the third out.
Strike
man.
one. Strike one.
That's
Strike
right.
one.
All right, this is quite the turn of events. Nick Kirby's getting fired up. He's got to hype me up. It's a relatively long day, but you know what? I was incredibly nervous. I was sitting on this 2-0
Strike
lead.
two. Need some Pawnee water in you, brother.
Oh man, I might have to go dig back through my DMs on a guy that was absolutely trashing Duarte. I might have to start digging around.
All the players to trash in this organization.
Trashing Duarte.
What did Duarte do?
He said, "Why do you like Duarte so much? He stinks." I don't think he stinks. I think he's a pretty decent little arm.
Wait till I tell him I'm a Fernando Cruz fanboy.
Well, he might even brought that up.
Oh.
Oh, don't do it to me.
Oh, man. Oh, Brewers devil magic.
Don't do this, Sadak. Don't start the shtick. Don't start the tying runs in the on deck circle. Blah blah blah. We're not doing that. Nope. The Brewers haven't hit the ball out of the infield this inning, so let's not concern ourselves over it. Need likes, guys. Come on. We need likes. We need likes. Mouse Cop is right back in the game. That's not it. That's not. What is Sinzel? Okay.
Didn't matter. Oh, God. What is happening?
Okay.
This season, man. Oh. How did he hit that out?
Fuck,
Walks.
dude.
The walk's worse than the home run. The walk is always worse than the home run.
Way worse. Way worse. Way worse. I mean, it's just garbage that they got to hit on that little piece of crap.
Yeah.
David Bell can't catch a break, dude. This shit can't be real. We're gonna win this game, though. I'm gonna change up my attitude. We're gonna change our attitude right now. I promise. All right. We need likes on the stream.
Yes.
We need likes on the stream, and we need good vibes, positive vibes only. We need some good vibes going. We're gonna get this done. Come in here. Who's up? Contreras?
Yep. Yeah. I saw some of the chat. Do not what Thomas did, and I could not agree more.
Yeah. No, we don't want Willie Adames up there.
Willie, it's hit half of our home runs off of our.
All right, we got 100. We got the 145 likes. Can we get to like 175 here before Diaz throws a pitch, at least on our stream? I know you guys are ahead. I'm gonna have to not look over there. I'm gonna have to not look at the chat. We're gonna get this done. Come on, we're gonna get this done. We're gonna get this done. And we want 200 likes. People are asking for 200 likes.
Can I get 225?
RM's in the house. RM's in the house.
Shout out RM. All right.
I can't tell if that one guy. Yeah, we can't look at the chat. I can't tell if that one guy's trolling me by saying David Bell can't catch a break, laugh out loud, or if he's agreeing with me. I'm not trying to. I mean, like, look, man, it's a 4-run lead. I mean, at some point, can't we get lucky and not have to bring Diaz in every single time? By the way, that was a good route by Senzel. I know it was a home run, but still. All right, come on. I got to put the chat away just to be safe. I cannot let them ruin any good or bad news for me. We're still not walking, guys, okay? Worst case scenario, this guy's a tying run. Worst case scenario, let's go get him. We ain't scared of him. Let's go get him.
You hear the walk-up music?
Yeah, he's out. That's what I think. He's out. It's his brother's walk-up song. Walk-out song. Walk-out song? Good play. Make a play. Dude, Ellie Daylock. Fucking Cruz, man. Oh, Contreras. Yeah, go ahead. He's out. They're asking for a review. You might as well review it. I mean, they're going to review it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Why wouldn't you review it?
Is there anyone else that...
No one on planet Earth makes that play. He's out, dude. He's out. No one on planet Earth makes that play, man. Dude, that is so ridiculous. That is so mind-boggling ridiculous. He's out, right? Can I see Bally? Can we do a better job, Bally? Bally Sports sucks. Can we seriously? Can we see a replay?
The Brewers fans saw a replay. Oh. Trace, where'd you go?
Dude, he's safe, bro. He's safe, dog.
Stands.
Yeah, wouldn't that be the icing on the cake for the Brewers? We deserve it. Oh yeah. Willie Contreras, get fired up.
They finally showed it actually.
I don't know though.
Yeah. It doesn't have to touch the back of the mitt, right?
No, it's just got to cross. It's got to cross his glove line.
Oh,
he's safe. All right.
Oh my god, dude.
Let's go, Nick. It's okay, Nick. We're gonna get this guy out. Come on. Good vibes, Nick. Let's go. These guys are hitting absolute fucking bleeders everywhere. Luckiest team I've ever seen in my life. Still an unbelievable play by Ellie, by the way. Ridiculous play.
Yeah.
You know what the wild thing is? Nothing against Spencer Steer, but if there was a guy that was just a little bit taller over there, that's the difference between him being out and safe. Come on, Diaz. Can we get lucky? One time, Nick. This is the time. We need it right here. One time.
I think this might be your best use of the one time all year.
Thank you. We need it. One time, please. That's fine. Whatever. All right. We need likes. I hate being like 2 pitches behind the world right now, too. I hate that. Nice pitch.
One more.
Nice pitch. Nick, John. Sadak's killing me tonight. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Alexis Diaz. 0 for 5 with 3 Ks. Can we throw that slider on the outside half, please? Slider on the outside half. Don't hang it. What are we? Oh. Wait, he wants to check it. Let's challenge.
Challenge. Wow. I don't even know why you even think
Well,
about
if he's safe, he's safe. I don't want to challenge it if he's not out because I want Diaz to stay in rhythm.
Don't you get automatic? Yeah,
I want Diaz to not have to sit around and think about this. He's safe, I think.
Yeah. That's a good point on Diaz that I didn't really think about.
He might be out. Yeah, I don't know. All right, whatever. Back to the game. We need to throw a slider like a foot outside, man. He's gonna chase it if you start it. No, we can't start it low. Not that pitch, Nick.
That was I don't want to don't give another one of those. Likes.
Is a fastball high too much to ask? Fastball up. Golly, these are great pitches, dude.
I feel like every pitch outside of that 2 pitches ago has been pretty good in this at bat.
You got to throw a fastball up and in. He's starting to lean out in front of the plate, dude. Come on.
Oh.
Is he all right?
Oh, gosh. That's terrifying.
Yeah. He seems all right. The helmet did its job. Bat Boy. Bat Boy had one hell of a reaction. You just make pitches, John. Got outs at any bag. Outs at any bag. John, stop that, man. Can we just get a guy that swings and misses, please? Like, he just pops one up. Please, there it is. Pop up. Somebody take control. TJ Friedel. Never in doubt. Never a doubt, Nick. Never a doubt. Had it the whole time. Had the whole time, dog. Holy smokes, man. I can't keep doing this, man.
We're back.
Let's do a show.
High drive, left center field, racing back to Measured glove, slow to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win it. What a dream to get into the career of Jay Bruce.
Let me tell you something. If you're listening to the podcast tomorrow morning and you didn't get a chance to watch this game, maybe you just couldn't stay up late enough to watch it, don't even worry about going back and watching it, okay? Do yourself a favor, because if you watch this game back, it's one of those games where you still get nervous watching it. You still start to think to yourself, this is not going the way that it's supposed to go. Reds win 4-3. They get the boogeyman, the monkey, whatever term you want to use, off their back. And I'm not saying that this was a necessity, because it is a long season, and I know people get mad at us and mad at me specifically when I say it's a must-win game. But Nick, this was as close to a must-win game as you could possibly ever have on July in late July. I don't care what anybody tells you. You lose this game tonight the way in which they would have possibly lost it, and unless these guys are made of just absolute psychological warfare minds where they nothing phases them, this would have lingered. This loss would have 100% bled over in tomorrow, but we don't have to worry about it because they won. How you are? Are you okay, Nick?
I'm okay. Feels like that NCAA tournament game you just survived in advance somehow, and you don't really know how it happened. But hey, you're here, and nothing else matters. I had a thought as the game happened, and I was definitely not going to put it out for the world. But I was at a game. I think it was back in 2018. Reds playing the Indians at the time, now the Guardians, and I was at the game, and Billy Hamilton was called out on the field on a little weak rounder, and then it got overturned. The Reds came back and won, and that was like the first thought in my head. I was like, oh no, this could be the other end of that. But found a way.
Yeah, and again, I can't emphasize enough how unbelievable of a play that was by Ellie. I cannot even fathom that play was that close. It is absurd and ridiculous that he even made that. Yeah, there's some things to get into tonight that are interesting, I guess. I don't know what else term to use. I'm going to be optimistic. I promise, chat. I promise, podcast. I got off the show yesterday. I went to bed. I did a little self-reflection, and I thought, you know what? I got to be a little bit better. I know that my emotions run high at times. I know yesterday I was down bad. On a win, I need to bring a little more positive energy. There are some things that are still bothering me a little bit, but you know what? This baseball team was supposed to win 64 and a half, 65 baseball games, and here we sit on July 25th, about to be July 26th here in about 30 minutes, might I add. And you know what? I think it's safe to say, in my opinion, I think if this team plays up to their capabilities, their best is better than anyone else's best in the division. I'm biased. I'm a homer. Call me crazy. Say I'm dumb. But if the Reds play their best baseball and the Brewers play their best baseball, I think the Reds win. And I like that. I like that going forward. I didn't want this race to get, I don't want to say out of hand, because I still think they could have come back if they would have gotten swept, Nick. Hand up. I still think the Reds could come back and win the division if they got swept. But just the idea that you get at least one, possibly two now, it feels really good going into tomorrow. And it feels like, I don't know, we got a little momentum. Is it fair to say we got a little momentum going into tomorrow?
Well, I think you shifted the pressure more than anything else back on the Brewers. I think if you lose this game, I think the Brewers go in tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll talk about it in a minute. The Brewers, I know Freddie Peralta pitched really well against the Reds' last start, but if you go search Freddie Peralta's name on Twitter, you're going to find a whole lot of Brewers fans really upset about how he's pitched lately. So it's the guy they probably feel the least comfortable on the mound in this series tomorrow. And now they have a lot more pressure than if they would have come back and win. Kind of be like, hey, whatever happens on Wednesday happens. Now they have to win to keep the lead.
Yes, they do. And not only that, but it just felt like this was a team that we couldn't beat, man. We could not beat these guys. And tonight, you finally felt like you got enough. You got everything you'd ever needed. Ashcraft gave you an unbelievable game the night before, and then you got Andrew Abbott, couldn't throw the ball any better, literally. I guess outside of a perfect game or some crazy no-hitter or something like that, I'm sure that you can always say that someone can throw the ball better, but you get my point. Shutout baseball from Abbott, and you turn it over to the bullpen. They do their job. You get a 2-run. Well, not only that, but you get guys on first and third with nobody out. You don't cash in. You got guys on second and third with 2 outs. You don't cash in. And then thank God Will Benson hits a 2-run home run, and then that kind of feel like you get a little breathing room. And then you still almost blow it in the 9th. And I guess that's why we do a box score recap, so you can go through that whole thing and explain to the people what exactly happened. Because if you didn't watch this game, like I said before, maybe just listen to Nick's box score recap and leave it at that.
All right, Andrew Abbott versus Corbin Burns. It did deliver as a pretty good pitching matchup as it was billed to be. Nothing going into the 4th inning. TJ Friedel was hit by a pitch. Then Matt McClain walked after Jake Fraley struck out. The Reds' luck in the series finally turned. India hit a ball just past the third base bag that went off the glove of Monasterio. That allowed TJ Friedel to score. And then a nice 2-strike piece of hitting by Joey Votto. He had a single up the middle, put the Reds up 2-0. That ended Votto's 0-for-19 skid at the plate. Andrew Abbott, incredible. 6 shutout innings, only allowed 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. Abbott, he's in another scoreless inning streak. He's now at 16 straight scoreless innings without allowing a run. Abbott did have a couple hairy spots. One was in the 2nd inning. Brewers tried to steal a run with 2 outs in first and third base. They sent their catcher, Victor Carantini, hoping to get him in a rundown. Votto waited, threw to second base, was called safe, which allowed Joey Wiemer to come home and score. David Bell then intensely signaled for a challenge, and the play at second base was overturned, keeping the game scoreless. Then another situation with Abbott, 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. Victor Carantini hit a ball off the wall with runner on first base. Will Benson made a strong relay to India, who fired home to Luke Maley, who tagged out the runner to end the threat and keep the Brewers off the board. It was a 2-0 game as the Reds turned it over to the bullpen in the 7th. Ian Jabot and Lucas Sims each threw scoreless innings. And then an absolutely huge spot in the top of the 9th. Will Benson hit a 2-run home run, 418 feet. That put the Reds up 4-0. David Bell, with that insurance, decided to go with Daniel Duarte, as it certainly feels like Alexis Diaz is a little tired at this point in the year. Duarte was 1 out away from getting out of a jam. A little dribbler put Christian Yelich at the plate, and Christian Yelich hit a 3-run home run off Duarte that made it 4-3. Alexis Diaz came in, and he somehow got out of it. Reds win. Reds now 56-47. Reds just a half game back behind the Brewers. And the Reds are also now 1.5 games safely in the postseason at this point in the wild card race, holding the first NL wild card spot.
Deep South commodities. Will Benson with a clutch home run. A massively clutch home run. The deep drive of the day is sponsored by D South Commodities. And as I mentioned, that came off the bat of William Benson in the 9th inning. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. And again, thank you to John and his team down there at Deep South Commodities. Shout out to them, and shout out to Will Benson for giving us the deep fly of the game. Got a couple super chats, Nick, all in Christ, as reliable as they come. With the super chat. Needed it. You were right. Zach Richardson with a big bomb, $20 super chat, says you deserve a case of Yingling Flight and a shot of cinnamon whiskey tonight. Zach, you're a man after my heart. I'm gonna go do that for everybody. And in fact, I'll be back in a minute, and I'm gonna go do that for everybody. The biggest thing I want you to know, Zach, is that I really know that you're a huge fan of this show because there are no free ads in that super chat. There are no free ads in that super chat, and that Outside of the flight, before the flight, we had a name brand there. But outside of that, the cinnamon whiskey, kudos to you. That's big time. Big league, as some would say. I put in the poll here really quickly, Nick. Just curious. I don't know. I don't want to spew my opinion wholeheartedly because it sounds like I'm a bootlicker, I guess, at times. It says, how do you feel about the ninth inning? I put the options: Diaz must throw to start the inning. Guys got to close the door besides Diaz, and then indifferent on it. Bell was fine. I know we had talked about it a little bit before I guess we talked about it during the game. We didn't get a chance here maybe to discuss it really quickly before we get into Abbott. You do have the bullpen, so maybe we could have gotten into it there. But right before we get into Abbott, we'll see how that poll question ends up throughout the night. Right now, there's a heavy lead with guys got to close the door besides Diaz, and that's where I stand. It's like, and that's why I say Bell can't catch a break. It's like you got a 4-run lead. And you know what? Cowboys said it right when Duarte started throwing in the bullpen to warm up. He said that if you use Diaz tonight, he's not going to be available tomorrow. And obviously tomorrow might be a rubber match game, and it will be a rubber match game now, and you'd like to have Diaz available. Now he's not available. And oh, by the way, it's not like Sims hasn't had his healthy amount of work. Like this bullpen has been taxed a significant amount, and I'm hopeful at some point somebody's able to close the door besides Diaz. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in that indifferent. Like at first glance, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't want to be cute here. You know, you really have to get one game here against the Brewers. Is that going to the series? I would honestly have said if I could take one game, I would have taken one game. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, Alexis Diaz has looked exhausted. He still looked exhausted even when he came in tonight. And I mean, there's so many things you're weighing into all these decisions right now at this stage in the year. I mean, I think there's more to the bullpen than I think we even know, because David Bell has really pushed Ashcraft and Abbott, the two starts in the series, a little more than David Bell usually would go. And I know Abbott's maybe a little bit different just because of how dominant he was. But I would be very curious to know the true story behind who's available and who's not right now in the bullpen, because I think that might be factoring into a lot more of these situations than maybe we think.
JW Dunbar in the chat brings up an excellent point, one that I actually thought about as soon as I seen it on the screen. So I was kind of in your camp, right? And I think I even said that during the stream. It's like, you got to go to Diaz here, right? Let's just get through it. And then you look and you see where they're at in their lineup. They're at 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I think that played into the decision of David Bell too. Like if it was 9-1-2 or not, maybe 1-2-3 or 2-3-4, I don't think maybe Bell goes to Duarte in that spot, because he's just like, you know what? I'm not going to risk it. Things might get hairy. But we're talking about the worst offensive team in the league. 6, 7, 8, 9 due up. And let's also be fair a little bit to Duarte. And again, I guess here I am, the bootlicker, the defender of Duarte. You can't walk the guy. That was maybe the biggest mistake he made of the inning. But he walked one guy. He gave up a weekly hit ground ball, right? And then he gave up a big fly to the Brewers' best hitter. So, I don't even think Duarte threw the ball horrifically bad. It's just that's the way it goes, man.
Yeah, here's the full inning for Duarte. Pop up Owen Miller, 75 miles an hour off the bat. Pop out Victor Caratini, 67 miles off the bat. The walk to Sal Frelick, the worst thing he did in the inning, worse than the home run. Single was 57 miles an hour off the bat. And then he gave up a home run to the Brewers' best hitter by a country mile. And he was kind of backed into a corner. So, yeah, no one's complaining if Yelich hits a ground ball and the game's over.
Correct.
That's kind of what I would push back on. No one's complaining that Diaz didn't get used.
No one's complaining that if the ball that got hit right off the end of the cap, basically right off the end of the bat, that was a horrible swing that just luckily went into a swinging bunt. No one's talking about it. So, all right, let's move on. We'll be done talking about it. Let's talk about Andrew Abbott. Why not? He's probably the star, if not the biggest storyline of the second half for the Cincinnati Reds. And when I say second half, I mean, for the most part, kind of like second half's the wrong term to use. I think of all the guys that you didn't know what to get or expect from when they came up, he's been, in my opinion, as crazy as this sounds, you ready for it? He's been the biggest bright spot of them all, which is saying a lot. Matt McLain's played unbelievable. Elly De La Cruz has played pretty well. Now, I don't think he's been unbelievable. I think Elly still has huge potential, and Elly will be fine, but he's not been like unbelievable is not the right word to use for Elly. Maybe some unbelievable plays, but his overall play drawn out has not been incredible. Spencer Steer's been good. All the above, right? We can go through all the list of names of guys that have been incredible. Andrew Abbott, by far, in my opinion, has been the guy that's come up and been a difference maker more than anybody because he is in a position and he's playing in a spot where this team has nobody else, you could argue, right now at least, that is a stopper. There's not many guys that are going to go against Corbin Burns and just and basically go shot for shot, Nick. And he did it. He did it tonight.
That's an interesting point. I mean, Abbott's certainly less interchangeable than a lot of the Reds' other players. Like let's say Elly De La Cruz was not here. I mean, Jonathan India or Christian Encarncaion-Strand, one of them are playing, right? I mean, so I think that he's definitely less interchangeable. And if you kind of look at wins above replacement, this was coming in tonight. He'll obviously get a huge boost after 6 shutout innings and 1 walk and 9 strikeouts. But coming in, Matt McLain was at 2.5 wins. Spencer Steer's at 1.3. Abbott's at 1.1. Will Benson's at 1.0 and Elly's at 0.9. So he's right there. I mean, I think Matt McLain's overall body of work is better, but I do think there's something to be said about the how there's just no one to replace Andrew Abbott right now, even at a mediocre production, right?
Correct.
I mean, like
that's what I meant. The drop off from him to the next guy is significant.
The drop off from him to Luke Weaver is significant,
right?
No,
it is. And listen, we're surviving and advancing. We're one day closer to getting Hunter Green back. We're one day closer to getting Lodolo back. I don't know. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I am not hanging my hopes and dreams on TJ Antone or some of these guys that are coming back from a relief perspective that might be able to help us. Doesn't mean I'm not hoping for it, but I'm not expecting it. The one thing that we have done, Nick, that I said about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago at this point that I don't want to say we were concerned about, but we brought it up was, are the Reds going to be buyers or sellers at the deadline? If things went really south really fast, you could argue that they were going to stay put and or be sellers at the deadline. I think it's safe to say, without question, no shadow, no doubt, no nothing, they are buyers. It's going to be fascinating to see what Nick Kral's done, because this is the first time, and maybe I'm being naive, and I'm not. Again, I have not followed the team as closely as you have over the years here. This is the first time that Nick Kral's really been in this position in his career, where he has a lot of prospects that I would say that he doesn't want to get rid of, but he's also in a position now where he's a buyer and he's not going out and trading veteran guys to get prospects back in return. You could say he's doing a little bit of the opposite. Now, again, he's not going to trade the farm. I'm not suggesting he's going to, but it'll be interesting to see how he goes about this.
Yeah, I mean, we're really starting to get into the timing. Like, if you go back to last year, and obviously the Reds were on a much different end of this, but the first trade, Tyler Naquin, I think happened on Tuesday night. So we're like right the week before. And then the Luis Castillo trade, that was on Friday night. So we're 2 days away now from, when that trade happened. And then obviously Tyler Mahle was on deadline day. But we could see some action in the next 2 days. I think most of it will be on the final day. It usually is, but there always is the possibility that something, does happen a little bit earlier, that there's a deal that just works for both sides, like it did like last year with the Mariners and the Reds, where they go ahead and make the deal then. One more point though on Abbott. There's been a few starts this year by Abbott where he's pitched well, but there's kind of been maybe a little bit of smoke and mirrors. That was not the case at all today. I mean, 15 swing and misses. He only allowed 3 hard hit balls, only walked 1 batter. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's had so many good performances, but this one's right up there.
I think it's
And my last point on Abbott is, I was confident that when he came up, he was going to be a good, solid pitcher, but I can't believe the level of confidence that I now have in him. I feel like I have confidence in him that's not even fair to him at this point.
Yeah.
Like I feel like when I turn on this game tonight, I didn't know if the Reds would win, but I felt like, hey, I feel like Andrew Abbott can outpitch Corbin Burns. I legitimately felt that coming into the night, and just the fact that he's there this quick is really just remarkable.
I think what you said is very fair to all the rookies. I think that we've come to expect more than what's fair out of almost all of them. I mean, you've already seen it with Ellie. People are frustrated. Oh, Ellie's, he's swinging. He's a free swinger. He's hitting 260. He's struggled lately, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, look, man, I mean, he's not supposed to be really having a whole significant amount of success this quickly in his MLB career. Matt McLain has been kind of this poster child for a guy that comes up and looks like he's unbelievably flawless. And I'm sure at some point Matt McLain will struggle a little bit because that's baseball, and there's no doubt in my mind that will happen eventually. Spencer Steer has showed a little signs of regression at times this year, especially lately. And hopefully he gets out of that funk. One thing I do want to make a good point about, I think is a good point at least, is I was thinking about this when I was watching today's game. It's like, although it's frustrating right now that the Reds aren't really playing what I would consider their best baseball, we also have to remember this is a long season, and I would like as the kind of the year has gone, this team has kind of done one of these. I don't want us, and you hear it all the time, I don't want us to peak too soon, which is kind of a dumb thing to say sometimes, but maybe this is a way where right now we're not playing great, but maybe in a month, if we can just hang around, we get hot again, and we get hot at the right time, and that's what it takes to win it all. That's what it takes to do something special like the Phillies did last year, right? Is you just get hot at the right time. Remember how we felt when we were on our 12-game winning streak? Hell, we were playing the Braves. We had, Luke Weaver throwing, and we thought, hell, we're going to find a way to beat these guys. And you know what? We did. That in a nutshell, if you want to be optimistic about this, is they're not playing their best baseball now, but let's also remind ourselves we might not want them to play like peak baseball right now, because just the way that baseball goes and the way sports go is you're not going to play your best baseball for 2 straight months or a month and a half, because we're not the Braves. Let's all be honest with ourselves. Go ahead if you have a point to add to that.
They've also faced a lot of really, really good pitchers. So the Reds are 7-8 since they finished that national series, and then they played the Brewers now 8 times. They played the Giants 4 times. They played the Diamondbacks 3 times. Like, these are all playoff teams or teams right there.
I agree.
7-8 is not bad against those kind of teams. That is what keeps the line moving. You faced Corbin Burns 3 times. You faced Logan Webb. You faced Alex Cobb. Actually did really well against Alex Cobb. But Alex Cobb was an all-star pitcher. I mean, they've just faced a lot of really, really good pitching. So obviously the Dodgers are going to be no relief. But let's see what this team will do against the Cubs. Well, let's see what this offense will do against the Nationals. Let's see what the offense will do against the Pirates, and the Angels next month. I think. I'm ready to see some bad pitchers again.
I'll rip these off really quickly. Obviously, we have a tough stretch right now. We knew this. We were going to try to survive in advance to the end of this month, right? That's kind of like the breaking point. August 1st hits, we get a little reprieve. So for those that aren't, schedule junkies, we got the Dodgers coming up next. Then we got Chicago. We got Chicago starting on August 1st, July 31st to be exact. And then we go to Washington. Washington comes to GABP. We play the Marlins, who obviously are a good team. That'll be a little bit of a wild card type of matchup there. You have the Pirates. You have the Indians. You have the Blue Jays, good team. You have the Angels, who will probably be maybe sellers, I would argue, possibly. Then you have, again, another pretty solid team in the Diamondbacks, the Giants. But then after that, ready for it? You got a 4-game series against Chicago. Play Seattle, And then you got St. Louis, Detroit, New York, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and St. Louis. Like the last 20 games on the Reds schedule is all sellers. They're all sellers. They're all going to be September call-ups. Does that mean that the Reds are going to automatically blow through them all? No, it doesn't. But to your point, they're not going to be facing great pitching those last 20 games. So if we can be just right there at the top or close to the top for the last 20 games, we're in a really, really, really good spot. And again, I'm not suggesting that it means that they automatically are going to win all those games, but, you remember some of those Reds lineups at the end of the year, some of those years where they've sold out. And to put that in perspective, you have on the opposite side, you have the Brewers who have to play Philadelphia. They have to play New York. They have to play 4 against the Marlins. Then they play 4 against St. Louis, who obviously aren't good. But then they have to go to the 2 Marlins again, and then they finish out with St. Louis and Chicago. So, we'll see how it goes. They also have to play San Diego as well, which I know San Diego is probably not a team. How's your not to get this show off the rails? What's your quick thought on San Diego? Are you completely out on those guys, or do you think they have like one of those weird runs in them at the end of the year?
Well, it doesn't sound like they're gonna sell. So
No,
that
they got too much money for that.
Yeah, I think it's probably a bad decision.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. 6-back. I don't. That's what they're one of the. I mean, they do have like a plus 48 run differential, which I could you imagine if your team was 5 games under
pissed.
500, they had a plus 48 run differential.
Yeah, be pissed.
Yeah, they're a team that could go on a run, and again, I look at like the Reds, D-backs, Phillies, and Giants and Marlins. Kind of think a couple of those teams probably are going to hit a really cold spell at some point. So, yeah, they could get the mix. The Cubs are still somehow only 4.5 out.
Right. Listen. With the wild card, there's a lot of teams that think that I got a chance, but it's tough. All right, Corey said where there's a will, there's a way. I love that. Will Benson. I know that I mentioned Andrew Abbott might have been the biggest surprise, biggest excitement the second half of the year. Will Benson's coming in pretty close second. So shout out to Will Benson. He's been unbelievable. Last thing I want to bring up really quickly before we get into the rest of the stuff is Vladimir Gutierrez. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on him? Like, do you find him as a piece that could help, or is it one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to put a lot of stock in that?
He's depth. I mean, he's fine. I don't think he's a terrible pitcher, but
How many more games is Luke Weaver going to be a starting pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds?
Depends on if someone gets hurt. Oh
my God, you and this injury thing.
Well,
if everyone was healthy, we can't.
If everyone's healthy, I would be surprised if he's still in the rotation after the deadline. I think they're going to add someone.
All right, I think it's 2. Reds offense. This is where my frustration lies. Got to be honest. I know that we face Corbin Burns, but my gosh, man, we just don't. This team has not capitalized on opportunities. It feels like with I'm not trying to kill India because I feel like I do that every show, but first and third, you have a chance with the bullpen in to extend the inning or extend the lead, and you can't get him in, and then Votto comes up, and Votto thankfully got a hit tonight, because if Votto didn't get a hit tonight, I was going to stop talking about him. Because you know what your mom says, right, Nick? If you don't have anything good to say, don't say nothing at all. And that's what I was going to start doing. And I think I still might do that.
Yeah, he needed that one. It was a really good piece of hitting with 2 strikes. Big spot in the game. Again, these are really, really, really good pitching. I mean, look at the Brewers' record and then look at that lineup. There's a reason they have that record. It's because their pitching is just so disgusting, and that's their model is having these ugly, ugly, ugly games. So I don't know. I'm interested to see someone else and kind of see if the Reds can. I don't think we're gonna get back to like that, peak when they were against the Braves. I don't think that was sustainable, but I think there's a more level balance that I think is coming soon.
You know who I think drives the bus, and he's not played all that well offensively as of late. And I get it that he hit a bomb the other day, like 500 feet. I get it, but Ellie has not been the same Ellie he was when he first came up for the first, call it 3 or 4 weeks that he came up. You know what I'm saying? Like getting on base, stealing bases, being active. He's just not. He's not been the same, and that's fair. I'm not downplaying that. TJ Friedel struggled, man. I don't know. Again, I'm not suggesting I'm hitting the panic button, Nick, but at some point we need some production out of TJ. Your thoughts on sitting CES? I think that you even mentioned the other night, like they were going to probably give him an opportunity to not have to face Burns and try to keep his confidence high. So when he does go back out there again, he's not over his last 12 or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I thought it made perfect sense to sit him against Burns. I had no issue with that. I think that makes sense. I think Peralta's a pretty good matchup for him. I'd rather him get the day off against Burns and be able to. I feel like CES, and I don't know, maybe this isn't fair. I feel like he's going to be a guy that's going to really make bad pitchers look bad. And I think he's probably going to struggle with some of the top tier pitchers this year, just because he does kind of have that swing and miss. He doesn't. I know he's come incredibly far with his plate discipline, but I still don't think his calling card at the big league level is going to be like these Will Benson grinding out at bat. So I think you probably are better off sitting him against some of the better pitchers when you have these extra players and you have to rotate guys. So yeah, I didn't have an issue with that tonight. I'd like to see him come out and smoke one off Burns, off Peralta tomorrow.
I usually don't do this because I feel like it just gives it. We have a lot of smart baseball people in our chat. I mean that. There's a lot of people that bring up excellent points all the time. I read them. I try not to get too lost sometimes in the shuffle because I like to keep a relatively even flow to the show. But that one guy, 15, India could go 5 for 5 with 3 RBAs and people would still give him a hard time for not getting a 4th RBI. Listen, man. Listen. If you're gonna be the team leader, okay, you can't hit like a $180 for 2 months. That shit doesn't fly. Don't sit here and act like don't sit here and act like we don't have a point. We don't have something to point to and say it needs to be better. That's an absolutely ridiculous thing to say. If he was 4 for 4 today, I'd give him his flowers. He was 1 for 4. He was 1 for 4. Do you want me to say it again? He was 1 for 4. And the one hit he had, I'm thankful for. God bless America. Thank you, Jonathan India. I'm still not sure if it was a fair or foul ball. It wasn't like he smoked a double. But you know what? I'll give credit where credit is due. I'm not trying to be a hater. No one on this show, me nor Nick, want our guys to fail. That's not what we want to do. I want to be a realist, though. I don't want to sit up here and act like everything's always perfect. Listen, Jonathan India played really bad baseball for 2 months when we need him to play better baseball. That's part of it. I'm not going to sit here and just act like it's perfectly fine. If he gets traded, okay. But if he doesn't get traded, we need more out of Jonathan India. And I think he would say the same. Okay? I'm not killing Jonathan India. I'm just pointing out when you play the Brewers, okay, runs are at a premium. They are at a premium. I'm not saying that every run's really worth like 2 runs, but it's certainly worth like at least a run and a half, it feels like, in these games. If you get 3 runs in this game, it feels like you're up 5. And my main point is when you come up with guys on first and third with 1 out, and we don't get those guys in, and then Votto comes up with guys on second and third and is unable to get those guys in, that stuff eventually catches up to you. It didn't catch up to us tonight, thankfully. But that's the difference in close games. And all I'm asking is at some point, the veterans have to be the reason we win. It's hard for me to envision us winning the NL Central. Nick, legitimately winning the NL Central because our rookies carried us. And you know what? I'll say it with a straight face. The reason we have a chance to win the NL Central right now is because the rookies have carried the weight of this team all year long. Someone else carry the weight around here. I'm done.
Matt McClain, 2 for 3 with a walk tonight. I thought he had a good game.
Matt McClain seems like he has a good game every night. It's ridiculous. It seriously is ridiculous. These rookies are so freaking good. It's laughable.
I tell you what though, we should if we're Jake Fraley deserves a lot of credit though. He's not really like a veteran, but he has played very, very well and kind of been that steady
Yes.
leader. If you know that there is one, he's. But yeah, I mean, look, it has been all rookie production. Friedel too, but he's
What?
like barely not a rookie. No, I mean he's played well too, but
Right.
yeah, I mean I would say Fraley's kind of been like that one guy that does have some experience, that has played well, and it's been pretty consistent for most of the year.
Luke Maley's played well lately too. I think that he's been a guy that's kind of filled in the holes. Tyler Stevenson, as much as we gave him grief at the beginning of this year, he's cleaned it up. He's cleaned it up pretty good lately. I mean, he's been a guy that he's playing better. So, listen, this offense isn't the worst. And again, we tend to have to do a show every single night. You're going to overreact from time to time, and that's fair. But the last thing I want to say about this Reds offense is that I think it's a double-edged sword right now. You have a bunch of guys that are unproven over a long course of time as what you're going to actually get. We don't know what we're going to get from some of these guys. We just don't know what the back of their baseball card is yet, Nick. They're too young. That's number one. Number two is when you face the Brewers and you face good pitching over the 2 or 3 week stretch that we've been on, you're going to become frustrated because ultimately you're not going to score 5, 6, 7 runs every night. That's been part of it. So don't know if there's anything else you want to get to before we do some Reds MILB, which stands for minor league baseball, if you don't know.
Well, I did want to get to one thing before we got to that. Got a question in our YouTube comments, as always. If you
Love that.
Watch after the fact, we want to interact with you folks too. So put something in the comments. I try to read them every day. And I had one in the comments. I can't find the exact question, but the question was about Jonathan India batting leadoff. Do you think they should move him back to the leadoff spot? It was basically the question. I feel like there was maybe a little bit more to that, and so I'm sorry about butchering that, but
it's all right. I'll dig it up. It was on the YouTube. It was on the YouTube comments yesterday. You're saying?
Yeah, it's one that I interacted. Like we went back and forth.
I'll find it for you. You do your Reds MIB. I'll get you that on the end of the show.
Yeah, I don't think India, should be back up with leadoff. So I think he did well in that spot, but I think that there's too many options that are better at this point. I don't think that's a magic fix, moving him back up there. I mean, again, I'm not like against trying it, like if things go sideways, but again, I don't think things have really gone sideways. I don't think 7 and 8 in this stretch of games against this much good competition is really all that bad. It's not anything that makes me think, hey, we need to really mix things up. We really need to hit the panic button or anything like that. I don't know. I don't think Jonathan India would like us to use like moving on to the leadoff spot as an excuse for his struggles.
No, but I think
fair?
yeah, but players in general aren't ever going to want the benefit of the doubt, or they're always going to most I don't say all. There are certain players that I think would take an excuse if you gave them one, but most players aren't going to take an excuse as to why they're not playing well. I think it's fair to ask the question as to why we don't put him back in the leadoff spot and see if it kind of rejuvenates him or gives him a little bit of a kickstart. But I think that the answer to that is probably because David Bell just thinks at this point he's done with it. He thinks he's got a better lineup. At some, we'll see. Listen, Jonathan India, is he as bad as everyone wants to make him out to be at times on Twitter and in our fan base? No. Was he as good as everybody wanted to make him out to be in this fan base before he started struggling a little bit? Probably. So it goes both ways. I'm not an India hater at all, but I'm also not going to sit here and be naive or try to make it sound as if I think he's an unquestioned leader on this team. And maybe I'm being naive, and I'll put my hand up and admit it immediately if I'm wrong. But if Jonathan India were to not be in this clubhouse for a month, I don't think this team performs all that differently than what they're performing now. I don't. I mean, I just think that that's part of it. Does it mean that people don't like him? Does it mean that people don't gravitate towards him. I read an article the other day where Spencer Steer said they love having Jonathan India around, and he's kind of the guy that always addresses the team, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That stuff matters, but I think it gets blown way out of proportion by the fan base on how much that stuff matters. Maybe, and again, I'll admit if I'm wrong, but at this point, that's what bugs me the most about Jonathan India is when people talk about him, they always talk about his value on things that aren't very... you can't point directly to them and show. It's always like this ambiguous thing, like, well, he leads the clubhouse. Like, okay, what does that mean? How much value does that have? I don't know. I'm not saying it doesn't have any value, but then, and again, you know me, I'm not an analytical guy, Nick, to a certain extent. But I watch the games. The guy's got phone booth range at second base, and on top of that, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat for 2 months. Couldn't hit sand if he fell off a camel's back. So I'm not going to apologize for what I watched for 2 months. All right. That's enough Jonathan India slander. I still love him if he plays well. I'll love him if he plays well. How about that?
Yeah, I think batting order, I think those stats can just get so blown out of proportion. This guy hits this well in this spot. This guy, there's so many factors that go into it. Last year, Jonathan India had a 694 OPS in the leadoff spot. So it's not like he had been crushing it for a long time. He was great in the leadoff spot in 2021. I know his numbers were better in the leadoff spot, but was it just because of how the ebbs and flows of the season went? Was it really about being a leadoff spot? I don't know. Ellie De La Cruz, I think, is the long-term answer in the leadoff spot. I think the Reds should just go through the struggles. I've been a big fan of that before they even did it. So, I'm not for doing something like that.
Yeah. Fair enough. Reds and MLB. Do you have some good news on this front?
I got some good news here. We got some couple cool things that happened in the Reds minor leagues. Start off with AAA. Bats lost 11-7. Louisville Bats now 51-44 on the year. Noelvi Marte 1-4 with the walk. Jose Barrero hit his 7th home run. Barrero is hitting .373 with 6 home runs and an OPS over 1250 in the month of July. Stuart Fairchild 1-for-3 with 2 walks, and then Tony Santiani pitched a scoreless inning tonight. To AA, Chattanooga, they lost 9-4 to Montgomery. Lookouts now 49-41 on the season. Blake Dunn 0-for-3. Resigns 1-for-4. Daniel Veloheen, the catcher, hit his 4th home run of the year for the Lookouts. The Dayton Dragons, they won 3-2. They were Trace. They were down 2-0 in the top of the 9th. Edwin Arroyo had a leadoff double. Austin Callahan walked, and then Ruben Ibarra hit a 3-run home run with 2 outs to put the Dragons up 3-2. They came back. They're now 46-45 on the season. And then the Daytona Tortugas, they lost 9-8. Cam Collier 1-for-2 with a double. Collier, he has a .355 on base percentage in the month of July. Carlos Jorge hit his 9th home run of the year. Victor Acosta 1-for-3. And one final note, TJ Antone threw a perfect inning with a strikeout for the Arizona Complex League Reds. That's his first professional appearance since August 24th, 2021. So great for TJ Antone. Great to have him back. I don't think we should count on him, but man, if he could find a way to work back to the big leagues, maybe by September, mid-September, that would be a really, really cool story for the Reds.
It would be. I'd be happy as a lark for Antone. Are we done on how close are we on Austin Hendrick before we just kind of say this might not be a thing?
Yeah, I think
getting close.
I think he's definitely. I know a lot of people that follow are much smarter than me on this. Think he's probably a good change of scenery guy. He's a guy that he's been with the organization. He could take off in another organization and maybe would never take off with the Reds. So I think he's maybe one of the players that I could see maybe you package him in a deal with a major league player to get you a pitcher. maybe you do a little bit of both. But he's definitely, if you're looking for a player on the top 30 prospect list, I would put him maybe as high as anyone that could actually get traded at this deadline.
The chat's popping off with Barrero.
Free him.
I say we free him too. Listen, I really do. I don't say I feel bad for him, but I do think that it's a weird spot for him. Like, no matter what he does, it's just not going to be a spot where he's ever going to have a spot for the Reds based off who they have. Now, things can happen. Injuries could happen, blah, blah, blah. But, I don't know what his value is. It'd be kind of interesting to see if we were able to be like a fly, if you will, in the room of Nick Krall when he calls teams up. What do they value Barrero at? I mean, he's got to have some kind of intrigue. The guy, although struggled at the big league level the few times he got an opportunity, he still hasn't had enough big league experience where you could even say, even for a second, that you could argue that, he just can't get it done at the big league level. He's been at the high of the highs at the minor league level, and he's playing pretty well right now. And you could argue that he gets a change of scenery. You said with Austin Hendrick, maybe more importantly, maybe Barrero needs a little bit of a change of scenery at the big league level, and he'll take off. And you know what? If we traded Barrero and if he started playing well, I don't want to hear anybody say anything about it. Sometimes that's just what happens. That's what it takes, right? I mean, Jesse Winker, it can go both ways. Change of scenery can go both ways.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I would be very fascinated to know what Jose Barrero's value is, because I don't have a good pulse at all on that. I am not against trading Barrero if he brings you back something of value, but I am no chance I'm putting Barrero as an add-in piece to make a deal happen or something like that. I think he has. I'd rather stick him out. One thing we got to remember about Jose Barrero, he only has 415 career big league at bats. This guy doesn't even have a full season worth of big league at bats.
Oh, no.
So
they were tough to watch, though. Can't say they weren't.
They were brutal to watch. And I do think he did make some improvements, very small, at the big league level. I mean, he went from a 401 OPS to a 619 OPS from 2022 to 2023. I mean, that's 218 points. That's something. I don't think he's had that many shots. Is 400 at bats that many shots? If we not see Will Benson?
All I know is that if we ever lose you, if you ever get hired away from this podcast, the first job you're going to get is you're going to be the arbitration jury lawyer for these players. I know that. It's going to be like, I got to go to arbitration. Who you taking with you? Oh, I'm taking the dog. I'm taking Nick Kirby with me, big man. I'm going to win this arbitration case, no problem. That's you. But you know what? I love it. I'm not saying anything, but boy, oh boy, let me tell you, some of those at-bats I had to watch with Barrero, they were mind-boggling. They were tough to watch. But you know what? Like I said, I still think Barrero has a future in this league if he can play elite level defensively and he gets comfortable in another organization and he hits a little above his weight and he kind of just Alex Gonzalez is it for a while, which that's no disrespect to Alex Gonzalez. I shouldn't compare Barrero to him because he was actually a really good player for a long time, but you get my point.
One more point on Barrero is last year he was really bad at the big league level, but he also wasn't even good at AAA. Like, he only had a 66 weighted runs created plus at AAA in 55 games last year. So him showing something, it's 125 at bats at this point down at AAA. Really, the first time he's shown anything since 2021. So again, I'm not against trading him. The Reds clearly have the depth there. But I'm not giving this guy away because you never know what the future is going to hold. I think everyone 2 years ago, the ones that want to trade Indy, I think almost everyone 2 years ago thought Jonathan India was going to be here for a long, long time. So you don't know. You don't want to give away players because you don't know what the future is going to hold. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm happy to see him doing well. I'm happy for him.
Of course. There was one last thing I wanted to bring up here before we got off here. I don't know. I lost it. No big deal. Sorry, chat. So here's where we're at. We will be doing a show at the trade deadline. I want to pub that again. We will be doing a show at the trade deadline if there is breaking news, pretty much anytime noon and or after. As soon as it happens, we'll go live. We'll talk about it. If there is no news for whatever reason, we'll probably go live the last, maybe what we'll call it, an hour of the trade deadline. We'll go live the last hour of the trade deadline and see how that goes. What was the time again, Nick? You said it was 6 Eastern, I think is what time the deadline was.
Yes. 6 Eastern.
So,
but hey, hell, maybe if something happens Sunday night, we'll try to go live. Just like with Christian Encarncaion-Strand and Matt McLean call it up, we find a way.
Yep, Ellie De La Cruz. Don't forget about him. That was probably the hardest one. It was in the middle of a workday.
Yeah,
random himself. I didn't forget, chat. I didn't forget. I know that I know you thought I probably did, but the truth is that Zach Richardson, you deserve this. This is for the chat, by the way. This is for the chat. I shouldn't do this late. I got to work tomorrow. But you know what? This is like basically good NyQuil. This is same thing. No free ads, but same idea. So here we go. This is for you. Oh, man. You know what's sad about this? Is it tastes good. It tastes good. I know. Yeah, I get it. People think, oh, that's disgusting. Blah, blah, blah. It's horrible. I'm telling you. If I was on the Willis Tower, or whatever the hell that was, the observation deck, whatever the hell they call it in Chicago, I'm asking for Fireball again. And if they don't have it, I'll tell them that the Cubs suck. There's that.
Tracy, I think if you start saying Fireball tastes good, you might have a problem, my friend.
Not at all. No problem at all.
You know who doesn't have a problem? Nick Cage.
Yeah. You can say that.
He's so
again.
excited coming out for a Brewers series.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Who, what, when, where, and why, Nick? We are back, baby.
All right, Reds, Brewers. Final game against the Brewers in 2023 until maybe the postseason. We'll see. Freddie Peralta going for the Brewers. 2-6 with a 5.63 ERA over his last 12 starts. Fortunately for the Reds, I think probably his only good start was against them. He threw 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs against the Reds. It was his only start out of the last 12 that he allowed less than 2 earned runs. So hopefully the other Freddie Peralta shows up tomorrow. Walking a lot of guys of late, so hopefully the Reds can have some patient at-bats, maybe a little more patient than the last time out. Nick Senzel and Joey Votto both have home runs against Peralta. Ben Lively, 2 starts against the Brewers this year. He's got a 1.86 ERA. Last start only lasted 40 against the Brewers, of course, because of cramps. That was in that series finale, but Lively's pitched well against the Brewers, so we'll see. This will be a big one, Trace.
It will be a big one. Those that are asking about the odds for tomorrow on the lovely Betfred Sportsbook app, that is Milwaukee minus 145. So really not that crazy. I mean, plus 120 for the Reds. I don't want to say it's a toss up because that wouldn't be theoretically accurate. But it's not like it's a minus 220 type game where you're like, this ain't looking too good. Probably not going to win this game. So we'll see how it goes. Nick, we needed it. We absolutely needed this baseball game. You know what I'm saying? You know what else I'm saying? Is it's late. These are the decisions that one has to make at night. Do you go in and do you dunk the ball as hard as you can? Or do you try to baby it so you don't wake up the entire house? The truth is that I'm dunking this ball as hard as I possibly can. Why? Why, you might ask? Because that's what this Reds team deserves. Because you know what? They're playing way above their sea level. They're playing way above their heads. But you know what I'm starting to believe? I'm starting to think to myself. I keep watching this every single night and I think, you know what? They're the best team in the National League Central. I wholeheartedly believe that. They're the best team in the National League Central. Does it mean they're going to win the Central? I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing it does mean. It means that there's a probably pretty damn good chance. A pretty damn good chance that we're going to find ourselves in the playoffs this year. And I'm just saying, Don't count us out. Go Reds. I'm going to go dunk a basketball. Athlete